this video, I'm going to show you how and why you should start flipping your own melodies in FL Studio. So to just get things started, we can create something in the piano roll real quick, or we can pull from one of these MIDIs that I have over here. I have a pack full of 200 melody MIDI. We could just pull one in, get a preset going. These MIDIs are part of a pack, so these are melodies that I've created. So this is just to save time for this video, but if you want to create a melody from scratch, you go ahead and do so. It doesn't have to be that extravagant, because flipping the melody and flipping this and sampling yourself essentially is what's going to make that melody stand out a lot. So you could take something that sounds kind of fire, but kind of basic, and you could flip it into something that sounds ridiculous, original, and organic. That sounds nothing like anything else out there. So right now I just have a basic piano patch from Flex on top of this MIDI. Normally, you know, we'd be making a beat, we'd be satisfied with something like that. It sounds pretty good. We'd start building a beat around it, but we're going to take it a step further. What I'm going to do here is send it to a mixer track, and on that mixer track right now, by the way, we're at 140 BPM. You could choose anything you like. We can mess with the key if you want. We could also do that after the fact. So I'm going to be rendering this to audio, so that way we can sample ourselves. To do this, I'm going to arm this to record. I'm going to hit Alt and R, hit start. Once that's done, it's going to give us an audio clip, drag it into the playlist. We got this remainder tail here, which honestly, I like to save, set it aside, mute it. So now we have our audio clip here with that piano melody. We're going to take it to another level. We're going to take that audio clip, throw that into the mixer. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. We can do something like pitching it down. We can reverse it. Let's make sure we trim it up nice. Make sure it's lined up. There's just two things right there that just flip this into something completely different, totally different vibe, totally different tone. So I'm not saying that you have to do all of these things to your audio clips and to your melodies, but these are just individual things that you can do that'll make it stand out. I'm just going to show you a bunch of options here. So we can keep going and build off of this idea. I like to just keep trying things until it sparks different ideas, till it sounds really different to me and sounds like it stands out, something that I want to build off of. So we can also throw some effects plugins like effectrix. I like to mess around with the vinyl about halfway through. I'll put it on a half time or just like a half note here, turn the slope down, stop mode. A little bit too harsh, I'll pull back the mix knob. So it's just off in the distance. It still saves the timing of the original sample, but at the same time it gives that vinyl slowdown. You can mess around with some different effects here. Something else we could do, let's bring this down. Let's make this one unique as sample. We'll save this other one here. I'll reverse it back to the way it was. Put it in its own mixer track. We could start messing around with some different ideas. I'm gonna put the grid on half beat. We can do some manual chopping. Click the drop down menu, go to chop, go to time based, go to chop in bars, beats. And then something that I like to do is just move these samples around manually. I'll mute this top one and then just start like pulling sample chops down. So we have a nice 4-bar chop, and if it sounds a little clicky and a little poppy, you could do generic bleeding on there and it'll smooth out those crossfades. Give it some stereo separation, make it sound a little bit wider. And then from there, you could put more effects on top of that to flip it even more. So you could throw something like gross beat on there. This might sound crazy, but we can maybe take the reversed one. The reverses might not match up, but we can give it a listen. We got them in 2 different mixer tracks. Sometimes the frequencies will clash, and this might sound good, it might not sound good. That's the whole point, experimentation. Or, you know, this is taking it another step. We can render out the chop that we have here into its own sample. So now we're sampling a sample that samples a sample. You get me. Alt R start. Now we have our sample chop. We're going down a rabbit hole, folks. Let's mute the original chop here. Now we have our rendered out chop, if that makes sense. Are you with me? Now we can copy this one down. First, I'm going to send this to its own mixer track. I'm going to make the second copy unique as sample, send that to its own mixer track. Then I'm going to take the copy, I'm going to reverse it, but what I'm going to do is go into the chop, time-based, chop in bars, and because we reversed it, we have to make sure that we reverse the order of those chops so the chords match up. And now I'm going to throw an EQ on here on the reverse render out just to kill some lows. Even try lowering the pitch. On the reversed one, I like to go to pre-computed effects, add some stereo delay to really widen it, to separate it from that original one. That way they don't clash. The EQ, you can get rid of some of the clashing because a lot of those frequencies are going to hit one another, right? So I like to do things to avoid that. Throw some EQ on there, cut some lows, maybe cut some highs, filter it out a little bit. Also, stereo delay, widen it. What the stereo delay does, basically it splits the signal and it separates it more into the left and right. And if you're wearing headphones or you have monitors right now, you can really tell the difference. I know there's some clicks and pops in there, but I kind of like it. It gives it like that sample effect. I'm going to leave it for now. I could get rid of them easily, but let's leave them. And it just adds a texture. It's nothing even really noticeable. Like somebody wouldn't even really notice that that was a reverse sample in the background. It just adds a nice little texture. Sounds good. That's the whole point of sampling yourself. We all sample other people, but what if you want to keep it original? You don't want to pay anybody. You don't want to have to go look for clearances. You could take melodies that you've created. Maybe necessarily they're not even that great of a melody, but you just take some basic melody and flip it into something that sounds like this, something that nobody else has. So yeah, that's going to do it. I'm kind of just scratching the surface here. As you can see, there's endless possibilities, especially in FL Studio. So if you want to see sort of a part 2 of this video, let me know in the comment section down below. By the way, the MIDI pack that I was using is also available in the comments down below. And make sure to share this with a friend if you get me.